welcome again to Comic Talk. Today I've got a couple of things I want to show you, two purchases I made. I also want to talk a little bit about scams and what's been going on. I don't know if you know this, but stay tuned and I'll give you a big surprise. Okay, guys, one last thing before we jump into the video. Watch the post-credit scene that I've got. It's going to have pictures of how you can spot a fake CGC case. You can also go to CGC and look it up. But if you want to see it, I've got it at the end of the video. Thanks. Okay, so we've all been dealing with scammers, and we all know that scammers have been out there forever. I want to touch on this subject first because I think it's important that everyone gets this message. I've seen Reggie, I've seen the Golden Age Guru, a bunch of other folks out there already talking about this, so I figured I might as well tell my audience what we've learned, okay? Somewhere out of the Northwest, which is Washington State, that area, maybe Oregon, whatever, the Northwest of the United States. There has been a series of CGC slabs that have been coming out that are fake. You heard me right. Absolute fake CGC slabs. And not only that, the comic books inside, they're totally fake. They've been recreated. I don't know what system they're using, but they are using a system that photocopies the comics, but it does it in a way that it's very difficult to tell. Not only that, but they're actually using aged paper, and they're creating things like Amazing Fantasies 15, Fantastic Four #1. I mean, I don't have the exact names of the comics, but I know that they've been creating Silver Age keys, and they've been creating, I think, even Golden Age comics. I don't know how they've gotten their hands on old paper, but apparently this is a very sophisticated scam. So just be very careful, because what they'll do is that they'll take an actual CGC slab, they will unglue it somehow, and I'll tell you why we know this. They unglue it somehow, and then they glue it back together, where they've replaced the top banner, and the top banner now will have a serial number, a certified CGC number that is one from the actual CGC catalog. So they'll go in and they'll find Fantastic Four #1, they'll find the CGC number, they'll type that into their label, they'll recreate the label to look exactly like the label they can see on CGC. So they have the ability to find the comic, find the label that matches the one they're going to print. They reprint that comic in some, obviously advanced printing system that they have, and then they encase it in the CGC slab with the actual label, with the real number. So it's very, very difficult to tell that these are fakes. Here's one thing you can look for. The case itself, for some reason, when they reattach it, I think they're using heat, or at least what I've heard is it seems like they're using heat, because the edges bubble just slightly. So you will find the seam to almost have disappeared behind a bubbled veneer, which is basically the plastic being melted together. So just to let you guys know, you got to be careful. Scams are everywhere, and the only thing that are really, really going to keep you safe is buying from people that you trust. I use eBay. eBay's probably the safest place to go to. I mean, obviously, Heritage Auctions and some of these others are going to be extremely safe to go to. But if you're buying on Instagram, you're buying off YouTube, you're buying on Whatnot, even I've heard. There's some comments out there that say that they've actually tried to pass these things off through Whatnot and some other platforms. Be very, very careful. Whatever platform you use, make sure that there's a way for you to get a recourse on it, because you're talking about a lot of money. Anyway, that's it. That's my service announcement. Now, let's get to the real stuff, the reason you're here. And these are the comics that I just bought. I think you're going to be surprised. Okay, the first one is not one that I haven't had before. Actually, I think the one I had before was in this shape or better. Unfortunately, I sold it. I sold it quite some time ago, maybe 3, 4 years ago. So I've decided that I want it back, and it is the Nightwing first appearance, Teen Titans, number 44. Teen Titans number 44. It's a very nice comic. I think it might be like a 9.6. I don't think it's a 9.8. Maybe if I get it pressed and clean, it could be a 9.8. I mean, there's nothing damaged on the book. There are no issues really with the book. As you can tell, the back is beautiful. The front is beautiful. There's some slight spine ticks. Let's see if I can get them. It's too hard to see on this camera, and with this color, this black. If you notice, there's like one right there, but they're very, very tiny. I'm not even sure they're color breaking. I mean, I just got this recently. Yeah, they are color breaking. And then this is what I use. I actually use a magnifying glass, and I hold the comic up to the light, and then you can see everything. Yeah, this is definitely a 9.6, if not even a 9.4. So anyway, I just wanted it back. I do believe this is a key that's going to continue to go up. I know that there's not that. I mean, there's a bunch of them. This is a direct edition, so it's not going to be like incredibly rare. But seeing that with the James Gunn effect, what's going on with DC, and the fact that Robin is becoming a much more, or not Robin, but Nightwing is becoming a much more popular character. His popularity has exploded since the recent Nightwing comics. Not even a TV show, because the Titans have been canceled. And I heard the Titans show was fantastic, but it did get canceled. So anyway, got Nightwing back. Gonna put it away. Not a keeper, but one that I'm gonna pause on for a little bit, because I think that with James Gunn at the helm, there's definitely gonna be some Batgirl, who we're already seeing Supergirl, and Robin are going to be coming up, and I wouldn't be surprised if Teen Titan actually makes it to the big screen. The big one I'm waiting for, and if you've been on my channel before, you know this, I'm a huge Legion of Superheroes fan. It's going to be tough to make the Legion. The Legion is quite a leap. I think they're going to have to do something very unique, take it back to like the 1960s Legion. I mean, if you look at the Legion today, it's huge. It's got a population the size of Earth's population. I mean, there's heroes for everything. When they originally started, the Legion was more smaller, maybe 10 heroes or so, plus Superboy. And I think that if they keep it at that level and they deal with it in some sort of time sequence, which is part of the Legion, we might get something really good. We'll see. We'll have to see. Now, for the next one. Okay, this one I didn't even unpack. It's still in the box, or in the bag. Actually, I was surprised it didn't come in a box. This is not necessarily a cheap book. Not incredibly expensive, but not a cheap book. This is a book I've been wanting for quite some time. So I'm going to be opening this, and I'm going to put you guys into the future. Okay, at least it seems like they really packaged it well, I gotta say. Even though it's in an envelope, the amount of packing on this, and I can tell that there's some hard boards in here. Okay, hopefully I've gotten down to the level where I can actually, right, it actually won't take that long to open. Let's see. It is a tight package. Okay, so they did pack it in a manila envelope. They did wrap it around with this, but look at this. This is what I call some solid packing. I mean, this is very difficult. I think it's better than a box. So let's see what's in here. You know, you guys, if you've been watching my show, you know that one of my all-time favorite comics, besides the Legion, has been Fantastic Four. You gotta be careful when I do this. Make sure I don't cut the comic. And because of that, I have been seeking for this comic book in particular for quite some time. Obviously, my grail is Fantastic Four #1. It was Fantastic Four #3 because it was easier to get, and I have that one now. This is also a grail, but this is a grail for a completely different reason. This is a comic book that I actually read as a kid. This is a comic book that I thought was one of the best Fantastic Four comic books I ever read. The storyline was phenomenal. The villain was amazing. I think he's the best villain the Fantastic Four have ever had. I hope they do him justice when they bring him to the screen, because I know they're going to bring this guy to the screen. There's no way that this is not making it to the screen. I mean, if you've ever read the story, and as soon as I open it, you'll see what I'm talking about. But if you've ever read the story of this comic book, you'll agree with me. There is hardly any other character that is even including. I mean, Doom is the quintessential Fantastic Four villain, but even against Doom, I put this guy up against Doom. I'll tell you that when I read this series when I was a kid, it was phenomenal. Oh, the packaging is amazing. Okay, guys. Wow. Wow, this is actually in really good shape. It looked like it was in really good shape when I saw it on screen. On my phone, because I got this off eBay. I buy everything on eBay, and I know a lot of people hate eBay. I feel a lot safer with eBay. I've never actually had a problem that eBay has not fixed for me. I've been either very fortunate or it's not a bad place to buy. One of the two. Okay, so it came with a nice Mylar bag, which is always nice. And I'm going to take it out of the bag, but this is it, guys. This is it. I love this story. The first time I ever read this story, I thought it was amazing. It rivals the story of the Silver Surfer, in my opinion. And I honestly thought we were going to get some sort of tie-in with the current MCU. Well, this is a nice comic. This is the reason you should be buying today, because you're not going to get deals like this. I'm actually going to tell you guys what I paid for this. All in all, lock, stock, and barrel, $180. $180. I mean, look at the look at this comic book. Okay, I got it a little better, I think. My focus is now a tiny bit better than it was before. I was able to figure that out, but look at that spine. I've got a good friend of mine now that I've talked about before. He's got one of these. He's got a beautiful copy of this, but I actually think mine's better. And if he's listening, we can take a look. But this is like, I mean, look at this. This is a beautiful comic book. So, what's the deal with Annihilus? Annihilus is from the negative zone. And the negative zone is a area of the universe that the Fantastic Four they basically stumble into it. What they don't realize is that, I mean, if see the first part of the story, let there be life. This is also the issue where I believe Franklin Richards is first appears as a child. I'm almost sure this is the first Franklin Richards. So it is just an amazing key, and the artwork inside, outside. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. This is a beautiful comic. This is one that because this guy is going to CGC. There is no doubt in my mind this is going to CGC. But before it goes to CGC, I am going to read this puppy again. I haven't had this book since maybe I was 14, maybe 15. I got it not when it first came out. This book is from, let's see here. This is 1968. I must have picked this up somewhere around 70, 72. In 1968, I was only 6 years old. So I didn't really have a way of buying a lot of comics. My comics were what I ran into at the corner store, drugstore when my parents would go over, and I'd find a rack and see what was there. I did pick up some nice comics that way. I picked up Defenders 1, which I've got here somewhere. I also picked up Doctor Strange #1, which I had here somewhere. And a bunch of other comics. Ghost Rider, the Marvel Spotlight, the first appearance. All of those. Those were around the same era. And I would find those actually on the stand. And they were all newsstands. There was no direct. So anyway, guys, what I wanted to do today was basically show you this beauty, which I finally have. I wanted to show you my Teen Titans and first Nightwing. So these are my 2 editions, and I'll tell you, this one was about $70. Not cheap, but it's worth it. I sold it for about $70 when I sold it, and it's been 2 years, so I figured the price must have gone down because of what's happening with the comic industry right now. And this one, I mean, if you would have gone to 2022, I mean 2021, I haven't even looked at the price, but I'm sure this was a $600-700 book. This is a gorgeous copy, I'm telling you guys. For the year, the fact that it's a square bound, the fact that it hardly has any defects on it. It's just a little worn and you can tell it's old. But it's actually a beautiful book. So guys, thank you for watching. Keep watching. Please subscribe. Please tell your friends. The channel's grown immensely, by the way. If you haven't seen it, we've hit over 1,000 subscribers. It was amazing. I got a couple of the YouTubers out there were nice enough to relate some information to their people, and their people came and told their people, and the next thing you knew, in a short period of time, I went from 100 to just over 1,000. So again, I'm not really monetizing this channel. I may be doing it, but it may be a while yet. So let me know in the comments. Do you like the music I play? Do you like the show I do? What's your favorite topics that you want me to cover? And remember, this channel is about collecting. This channel is about selling. This channel is about enjoying the hobby called comic books. This is not, I'm not a dealer. I do sell my stuff because what are you going to do with it? Eat it? I mean, you're gonna have to sell it at some point. Either that or they're going to use it when they burn your body in an urn, into the urn. They use the books for kindling. Or yeah, you can give it to your kids. I've had some people online come back to me and say, hey, what about giving it to your kids? You can, absolutely. But the reality is that if your kids really wanted them, you'd know already. And then you could start the process with them. In my situation, my kids, they're okay. They're not really into the comic books. They never really were. I think sometimes when you grow up surrounded by something, you don't appreciate it as much as when you don't have it and you have to search for it. So, when they grew up, I had a room, which I've shown in some videos. My room is all about comic books and some toys that relate to comic books or science fiction. So basically, they grew up in this. They saw it. To them, it was just something Dad always did. And for whatever reason, they never really picked up on it too much. I mean, one of them did, and unfortunately, story for another day, he's no longer with us. But besides that, the others have never really been into it. So again, guys, thank you for joining me. And please hit that like button and subscribe. I'll be seeing you soon.